With the combine getting ready to start, there's going to be a lot of attention on the draft talk. I've got 1010XL's Frank Frangie here with me right now. Frank, the Jaguars have some needs on their roster. We know free agency is going to kind of fill some of those. But as we kind of look at it, we kind of try and figure out some of the players that they could be paying close attention to this week in Indianapolis at the scouting combine. One guy that jumps off the paper and is expected to have a really big week in Indianapolis is Kelee Ringo from Georgia, Frank. I mean, athletic guy at a cornerback spot where the Jaguars could probably use a little bit of help, at least in the slot. But Ringo's a guy that's people expect to kind of impress.
There's worse things than having bookend Georgia corners, aren't there? You have Tyson Campbell on one side, then Ringo on the other. He's a really athletic guy. He's physical. No one's going to out-physical him. You know, we're getting to an age, Jamal, where there's more big, strong, physical receivers that are hard to handle physically. And it's hard to find a cornerback that can run and handle the physicality. And Ringo can. He's a big, physical guy, a thick guy. So, yeah, I think cornerback's one of the spots they'll try to identify. Like you said, we'll have a better idea of what they're going to draft after we see what they do in free agency. But not knowing that, yeah, I think cornerback's an obvious spot. Darius Williams will play outside this year. He was better outside than inside. But I think getting that other long-term outside cornerback is what they need to do at some point. So I think Ringo would be in play. I really do.
All right, another spot that on that defense that could use some help is maybe the pass rush, of course. We know Arden Key is a free agent. Yet to be seen if they'll be able to retain him. If they lose him, they could be looking to add somebody. A guy that I'll be paying attention to is Andre Carter II from Army. I mean, he's a guy who came in a little light at the Senior Bowl, but he's probably going to run pretty well there in Indianapolis. I think the scales is going to be, and where he weighs in is going to be the most important thing for a guy like that. But I think that edge position is something that the Jaguars will be paying close attention to, Frank.
Carter's really a cool story, Jamal. As you know, he almost wasn't able to go to the draft. They had to get a special letter that allows him to play professional football for a while before he does his service after his time at Army. Came out of nowhere, lightning quick, got to be big and physical enough, and that's the question. When you get these 6'3", 235, 240-pound outside linebackers or pass rushers, are they physical enough? Von Miller's 245, but he's very physical. Can you get guys that are physical enough and fast enough if they're undersized? I'm like you. I like Carter as well. I think edge is a position, corner is a position, a big physical tight end is a position. Look, Darnell Washington, Georgia among those, if they don't bring back Chris Manhertz. Those are the spots they'll look at. Now, again, free agency will dictate a lot of that. But I think if you go corner, maybe pass rush, maybe a physical tight end, maybe another receiver, those would seem to be the rookie positions that the Jags will have their eye on.
Hey, you know, you can't have too many pass catchers when you have a young quarterback. And you mentioned Darnell Washington. He's a guy with reports of that his 40 time should be pretty impressive for a guy that size. Another tight end that's probably going to run really well is Luke Musgrave from Oregon State. He's supposed to have an eye-popping 40 time, but I know the name that a lot of Jaguars fans have been talking about for a while is Michael Mayer. He's a guy that if he does end up running well in Indianapolis could definitely put himself firmly on the conversation, if not maybe even above the Jaguars pick there at 24. I think the hardest part of all this, Frank, is that we got used to having that number one overall pick and knowing who you're going to get. Now we got to wait all the way till the 20s.
Yeah, and I don't think Mayer's going to be there at 24. He's the most complete tight end in the draft, Jamal. He's fast and physical. He can be an inline tight end. He can be a move tight end. He can run and catch. He's today's great tight end. Washington is a big physical guy. A little bit stiff maybe, but he runs very fast, and he's a big, strong guy. Musgrave is a pass-catching guy, but the guy that's the most complete guy is Mayer. A lot of it depends on what they do with Manhertz. A lot of it depends on what they do with their active roster. But I think you could use one more tight end you could count on no matter what you do with the current team. But you're right. There's a lot of guys and a lot of good tight ends in the draft this year for sure.
All right, thanks, Frank. Frank Frangie will be in Indianapolis for the scouting combine with 1010XL, and he'll have plenty of coverage over there.